I'd like to show you now how to assign a label to a non-planar surface. For planar surfaces, you could use the Decol Sticker tool. And for curved, meaning non-planar surfaces, you only have the possibility of defining a sticker within a material. To give the following example a little bit of a complexity, the label shall include transparencies. The label was prepared insofar that the size will fit approximately to the size of this glass. And for the new material, I will use frosted glass as a template. And again, I will assign this new material to a surface. Via drag and drop, I'll have to wait a little bit until the quick pick appears to select the face. Frosted glass is still related to the solid body and its copy frosted glass 1 to the face. We can now edit this material directly here or by selecting the face. And after having started the editor, you can see its material is recognized automatically, and I'm going to rename it first. A thumbnail preview can be enabled, and of course we should enable it, but it will not support us during the label creation, because the alignment isn't really clear and it's just displayed on the object itself. And if labels are defined by use of an additional layer, which we're going to do, they will only be displayed in the Ray Trace Studio. Of course, we could use below base type the texture lookup option to gain a kind of label display, but if a label is not defined via an additional layer, the overall glass character will be inherited to the label, so it will be transparent as well. In some cases, this might make sense, of course, but to achieve a good readability, I will use the additional layer. I'll add a layer via right mouse button. And for good visibility of the label, you should always use the material type Diffuse. Here you can see we have an additional diffuse layer. And as a color, this time I'm not going to use plain. I'm going to use texture lookup instead. And select the label. Here you can see two images. On the one hand, a white background, so it's not transparent. You could directly select a picture including transparency in the case of directly combining it with base, but with bad readability. As soon as a label is defined via an additional layer, we will always have to use a second image to gain transparency. And I'm going to explain soon what exactly going to happen. The photo has been selected, and of course nothing is transparent right now. And you can see it through the preview, it is white because the label is white. Especially because of the readability of our layer, it should not include transparency. Our next goal is to exchange the white labeled surfaces by a transparent channel. And this can easily be done by just, instead of using the scalar type, selecting texture lookup. The selected image therefore has the equal size than our label image. And as you might have recognized before, we got some black and white areas here. The black area will block and the white area will allow display of the image below. And that's why only the colored areas of our label will be displayed on the glass. Unfortunately, we don't get a preview now, and one of the reasons is that it's not possible in this mode when working with layers, and another reason is that we haven't defined an alignment for a layer yet. And global texture box don't make sense in our case. Of course, we want to wrap our label once and not to be projected towards all directions. And I also want to achieve a 100% alignment to our surface, and not to be patterned automatically. And therefore we need the type texture space type UV. U and V is in principle the X and Y axis of our surface. This will cause a 100% scale of our label into the U and V direction. But one problem we have is that the U and V direction of our surface has already been defined and cannot easily be switched. And we cannot visualize it because therefore we need another tool called Object Information. Then we can recognize the alignment of U and V. The horizontal direction of our image will always be parallel to U and vertical direction parallel to V. You maybe might have recognized that the selected images were rotated already. The reason why those images are correctly rotated already is, of course, I have analyzed the U and V direction before making this video with object information. A little hint from my side, instead of modifying the construction, which also affects U and V direction, just rotate the image in your Microsoft Image Viewer. And of course it might happen that I will have to rotate the labels again when assigning them to another surface. How do we now achieve a preview of the label? Unfortunately, only within the Ray Trace Studio. And you can see the display mode Fast Interactive is in use, but we already get an information of the label alignment. And I also recommend you not to use a higher preview mode, like full render, because right now it's just about aligning the label, and you can see it's horizontally aligned. And this rotation is just really caused by the U and V alignment of the surface. After having left the studio task, we can have a look at the object information of the surface. But therefore, you have to select the surface and use Ctrl and I. And after moving the information window, you can see U points upwards and V to the left. As I already said, U is the horizontal alignment of the image and V the vertical alignment. And thereby you can clearly see why the picture needs to be rotated with the Microsoft Windows. And it's not a real deal because you just have to open it in the viewer, rotate and close it again. And compared to a modification of the surface itself, it is a really fast procedure.